of course, finally, we got to get to the Jews because it's always the Jews or Epstein as they're pushing. And here's so with Massey gone, with the primaries ramped up, and Trump just sloshing them all out, they're pushing the narratives they think work. So we're just going to hear more and more Epstein and the Jews. And here is Tucker Carlson just hammering this home again.
I mean, clearly it's not a sincere effort to reduce anti-Semitism. If you're going to gin up anti-Semitism, if you're going to make people feel bitter, if you wanted people to blame their problems on Jews, whoever they are, this is exactly what you would do.
Is it? Or is it what you're doing, bro? By the way, the Jews, whoever they are, whoever those Jewish people are, I mean, this is the craziest stuff, and it's getting so bad. And again, you guys have watched me for a long time. There are so many legitimate criticisms of Israel and our relationship with Israel. But the ramping up, the whole idea, Israel controls everything, this whole anti-Jewish narrative because they control, they got Thomas Massey out, they control Trump. This is leading to just some really gross things that are really ramping up. And here's some examples of it. This guy, these people going out here now, they're using people like Tucker to make this kind of thing legitimate.
Hey,
this is
Jewish.
ugly.
What's up, man? What's your thoughts about Jews sucking baby fetus?
Hey, how about fuck you?
Oh,
I mean,
you?
Excuse me?
I said, oh yeah.
This is becoming popular. It's it's hard to watch. It's horrible. But there's just no. You're not you can't act like this. No matter what you think. But this is ramping up, and I am not. I mean, before last week, I never on my show once ever brought up the word anti-Semitic in a way that this is a big thing, because it can be used for bad stuff. It can be overused for censorship. But the problem is that now the grifter class has gone so far on this lane, and now the Thomas Massey stuff's making it even worse, that these people are using it as an excuse to just treat people horrible. And it's getting awful. But look at this. I mean, it's really getting crazy. Here's a lot of the Democratic candidates and how they're acting on this.
Graham Plattner in Maine, Abdul El Sayed in Michigan, Republican Senate candidate Dan Bilzerian in Florida, and Texas Democrat congressional candidate Maureen Galindo, all taking heat for the anti-Semitism they've been spewing.
So ask yourself this: why is it always the worst people? Okay. And again, I'm a Christian. Okay. I was raised evangelical American Christian, and I'm still a Christian today. But, I've served in ministry. I was 10 years a pastor, but I also agree. I don't agree with the Israel's perfect nonsense. I don't believe Jews are a chosen people anymore. I don't subscribe to that theology. However, they are still a people, and they deserve respect. And you don't just go out and say this kind of stuff. It's crazy. And it's all coming from the most evil people. The left, the grifters, the hardcore Muslims. I mean, it's horrible stuff. But it's obviously a psyop. And here's a really good clip explaining how this is being pushed on. Okay.
The third thing you saw emerging last night was this idea that Massey should run for president in 2028. And that brings me really back to this idea of the cult of personality is not going to save us. They're never going to allow Massey to become president of the United States. The money controls President Trump. He is a puppet. That's it. At the heart of it, he is a puppet of all of this oligarch money. There's a reason freaking Adelson was in China with him on his trip.
Of course, it's always Adelson, right?
So all of this money flows in.
This is what they keep pushing. And this is leading signals confirm copy pasta coordination cluster, identical dual loyalty accusations against Miriam Adelson. And they're just pushing it across independent channels. Napolitano, Tucker, Redacted, Kim Iverson, Kyle Seraphin, Ryan Mata in a 24-hour window. You can see this is all just psyops being pushed. Verbatim claim labels are dual citizen, more loyal to Israel. Operational hook is the Thomas Massey Kentucky primary. This is how they push stuff. Now listen to this. This is crazy. This is from a meeting of Islamic leaders. And listen to what they got to say about what's happening right now.
Now, within the the Republican Party, we see the split, we see the fractures within what the MAGA movement. You see the likes of Tucker Carlson.
You hear them? They're talking about the psyop to split MAGA. All right? Very interesting.
You see the likes of Candace Owens. You see the likes of Megyn Kelly. You see the likes of Steve Bannon. He's the one who coined MAGA. Do you know what MAGA means? Do you know what MAGA? Do you know what MAGA? MAGA, make America great again, right? MAGA, make Israel great again. So he said, either you're MAGA or MEGA. Choose. So he accuses people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin, who he calls Mark Tel Aviv Levin. That's what he calls him. These cracks are happening. So now...
So he's telling us what they were doing, the influencers were doing to call out the Israel part of the MAGA wing, you know, to split us up. And then he says the cracks are showing.
For those who continue to question, is our work paying off? I'm telling you it is.
Is our work paying off? I'm telling you it is.
Is it where we want it to be? No, it's not. Is it where it should be? No, it's not. Are we able to get there? Yes, we are. Because Allah is providing evidence to us that your struggle is paying off, that your voices is making a difference. But it comes with what? It comes with sacrifices. It comes with hardships. It's the same as Surah Al-Isra. You want the victory in the first and second round?
These people are celebrating the fact that the influencers are pushing back on Trump and MAGA for being too close to Israel. Now, again, you can make all the legitimate criticisms of Israel you want. There are many to be had. You can make the arguments. I'm here for them. But once you go to the point where Israel is controlling everything, where Israel is the big enemy that runs us, then you are retarded, and I have nothing to listen to anymore because you've lost your mind, and you're actually on the side of the crazies. The worst people, the most anti-American people in the world are Israel controls everything. And I'm sorry, it's just true. And I have major issues with those who think Israel's perfect. I have major issues with those people. And I have major issues with a lot of theology about, you know, like how the Jews are more special than us. I have a lot of issues with that stuff. But I'll tell you what, I've never met any of those people who are anti-American. Those people always tend to be very pro-America, even with my disagreements with them. It's just the facts. And I've been doing this a long time. I've been studying this for 25 plus years. And here's an excellent breakdown on it, folks. Let's make this simple. If the Rothschilds control Israel, that means City of London controls Israel. Yeah. Somebody the other day was like, hey, you always say City of London. Can you name some names? Yeah. How about Rothschilds, Rockefellers? But there's also a bunch we don't know. That's like saying, hey, the CIA was bad. Can you name names? We don't know all the players. They're very good at hiding, but we know the system. The question, how come they only talk about Israel? How come the Israel-only crowd expects people to fall in line? How come they'll mention the Rothschilds to justify what they say about Israel, but not talk about City of London, Vatican, or Switzerland? I'll tell you why, because it's a psyop built to divide and distract. That's why the Nazi narrative was pushed also. And they both line up. I saw it as soon as Israel-only crowd started pushing. It wasn't like a bunch of people were red-pilled and talking about Israel. It was being forced. No expert but been awake a long time. The Israel push doesn't look like an awakening moment at all. It's not. It's being forced upon us. Get in line or you're not America first. Get in line or you're MAGA. Hell no. Screw you. I will not get in line. I can think for myself, thank you. And I can tell you that the idea that an 80-year-old country smaller than New Jersey is controlling the whole world is retarded. And if you think Israel is the problem, you're an idiot. You are an idiot. If you want to point at real problems, let's talk about them. If you want to say Israel's been used by City of London sometimes, sure, I agree. But if you think that our biggest issue now is Israel, you are a moron and you're buying the noise. You're buying the noise. Don't do it. You can be better than that. We all can. Last I know, Israel hasn't done anything to hurt me as an American. They've took a little bit of our money that we gave them. Do I always like it? Heck no. Has Israel done some dumb things? Absolutely. Have they probably pulled us into some helped pull us into some wars we shouldn't have been to? Yeah, absolutely. But who was behind that? It wasn't Israel pulling the strings on that. It wasn't Israel that started that. It's the City of London system. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Yeah, does it make more sense that a system that's been around for literally almost 2,000 years, that was behind the entire British Empire, this is the biggest empire in world history, does it make more sense that they, our former enemies, the people we held a revolution against to get free of, does it make more sense that they'd be our big enemy than the little guys that were just created 80 years ago? Yeah, it does. And so you tell me Israel's behind it all, you tell me you're a moron. And it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up and stop playing these games. You want to know who a grifter is? There's somebody on YouTube interviewing each other, telling you that Israel's the problem. There's someone out there telling you that there's no hope. There's someone telling you that it's all black pill, bro. It's all the technocrats and Israel's funding them. That's how you know who a grifter is. In our world right now, especially if they're claiming to be America first, they're not MAGA. They're not part of us. And they're trying to ruin our movement because they are terrified and they're doing everything they can. Every country has cabal puppets in it, not just Israel. The cabal has multiple strongholds, not just one. They use America against the world for a long time. Not dismissing Rothschilds linked to Israel. Absolutely not. If the post made you think I missed my point, even in checkers, you don't focus on one piece. 100%. These guys are everywhere. They think we're stupid, and they want us to look past this. Why do you think none of these people ever talk about City of London? Even address it. Even the conspiracy people. Why has Alex Smith never said those words? Why is Ian Carroll never said City of London? Because if you're going to touch on every conspiracy, you'd at least talk about it, right? Even if you don't agree with it. But they don't even mention it. This is the one hiding in the shadows. And it's the true system enemy that's trying to end Donald Trump. And they are terrified right now, guys. They are terrified. And that's why they have the biggest people ramping up the language. Ramping up the language, trying to end what Donald Trump and this MAGA movement is trying to do. Because once they lose America once and for all, they have no hope. Once they lose all their footholds, like Iran, proxy state, like Venezuela, they have no hope to come back. And that's why we're winning, guys. That's how you know we're winning, because they're in absolute panic. And it's why we're going to win, because it's so easy to see through at this point.